Recently, I was working on a feature where I had to implement a sticky footer on the bottom side of a model bottom sheet, regardless if the bottom sheet state is partly or fully expanded. In this video, I'm going to show you how I did that. Before we look into the code, the thing I was trying to implement was this sticky footer on the bottom side of the sheet. And it is showing regardless if the bottom sheet is partly expanded or fully expanded. And then on top of that, I have some actions there like this close button. My starting point inside the code was a composable that internally had this model bottom sheet. And I'm not gonna get into the details around the model bottom sheet, but inside I'm just having a lazy column that is rendering some items. Now I thought, because I have some content inside this bottom sheet, how about wrapping that into a box so that it's gonna allow me to render something on top of the lazy column. So if I just wrap this into a box, then I'm going to be able to draw something on top of the lazy column. And then here I'm going to render a sticky header that is supposed to show on top of the list. Now, because this sticky header has to be shown on the bottom side, I ended up making the box expand across the entire height and then aligning its children on the bottom side. Finally, I created my sticky header. For the sticky header itself, I used a column that expands across the whole available width. It applies a background and it puts its children in the center horizontally. Inside, I do have a button that on click is dismissing the bottom sheet. Now let's run this and see how does it look. So I'm gonna open the bottom sheet, and the problem we are experiencing is that we don't see the sticky footer when the bottom sheet is partly expanded. So I must expand it fully in order to see that. The good news though is that we managed to render over the bottom sheet because the content inside is the list that we're having and then something on top of that. So that works. Now the only question is, how do we move it here when the bottom sheet is partly expanded? Well, to do so, we are going to utilize the bottom sheet state. So the model bottom sheet takes in state that we are passing down, which is this sheet state that I'm remembering. And then this sheet state can give us valuable information about some offsets, about whether the sheet is partly expanded, fully expanded, and so on and so forth. And we are going to utilize that information to do something with our sticky footer. Apparently, as I said, the sheet state contains offset information, and we are going to utilize the offset information to apply an offset to the sticky footer so that we are going to offset it based on the current offset of the bottom sheet itself. To do so, I'm going to apply an offset modifier in the modifiers chain, and as an argument, I'm going to pass an int offset, which int offset takes in x and y. The x is going to stay 0 because we are not offsetting by x axis at all, but y is going to be minus sheet state require offset to int. There are two things I want to remark when using the offset. First is that I'm using lambda here for optimization purposes, so we are not going to recompose when applying the offset. And the second one is to be careful when using the require offset, because if the measurements are not complete when calling this function, it's going to throw an illegal state exception, which means that if you end up having a bottom sheet that is expanded by default, so you're not opening it, then this might initially throw an exception. So you have to be aware of that. And then it would be better if you require the offset by a launch effect, for example. Finally, as we can see in the preview, the offset is being applied and we are seeing the sticky footer on the bottom of the bottom sheet. I'm going to give a final run to see how everything looks. And now we're seeing the sticky footer regardless if the bottom sheet is partly expanded or fully expanded. Now that would be it. I hope you find this video useful. If you want more such things, check out the link below this video.